Autumn, 1274, Hakata Bay, northern Kyushu. A heavy mist hangs over the water, rolling in slow from the open sea. The air smells of salt and pine resin. Gulls circle in uneasy silence. Beneath a sky the color of forged steel, a line of Japanese watchtowers stands vigil over the coast. Their sentries squint into the distance, where the horizon has begun to darken not from weather, but from sails. At first, they think it is a storm. Then the storm begins to move. Dozens, then hundreds of black silhouettes emerge from the haze ships, unlike any seen in the islands of Japan. They are foreign, broad-hulled, built by Koreans and Chinese under Mongol command. Painted banners ripple in the wind, marked with the seal of the Great Khan. On the shore, the alarm bell tolls. The barbarians are coming! Inland, samurai lords rally their retainers. Among them is Takazaki Suenaga, a young warrior sworn to the Higo clan. He straps on his lacquered cuirass, the cord still damp from the morning dew. He mounts his horse, his expression steady, unflinching. To him and every samurai born of this era, war is a sacred trial of courage, fought blade against blade, eye to eye. He rides toward the beach as the wind shifts, carrying the low thunder of foreign drums. Each beat rolls across the waves like the pulse of an approaching beast. By midday, the first ranks of Mongol ships draw close enough to see the movement of men on deck. Bows gleam, catapults creak, and the smell of something strange sulfur and smoke drifts on the air. Takazaki reins in his horse atop a dune, staring in disbelief. Never in his life has he seen an army like this, formations of archers and armored soldiers moving in precise coordination. Unlike the ritualized duels of Japan, the invaders do not come for honor, they come for conquest. The wind picks up. Waves slap against the rocks, throwing cold spray into the faces of the waiting warriors. Behind Takazaki, the banner of his clan flutters. Red on white, a single bold character meaning courage. Let them come, he mutters, tightening his grip on the hilt of his sword. We'll show them how men of Japan fight. Out to sea, a single drum beat signals the Mongol advance. The horizon erupts into motion. The invasion of Japan has begun. From beyond the fog, the Mongol armada emerges in full. Row upon row of warships, their sails taut with the breath of conquest. The banners of the Yuan dynasty whip in the sea wind symbols of Kublai Khan, grandson of Genghis, ruler of the largest empire the world has ever known. The fleet is a living machine. Each part moves with purpose. Korean oarsmen strain at their benches, their backs glistening with sweat beneath the barked orders of Mongol overseers. Chinese engineers load stone, shot, and strange ceramic spheres onto the decks of trebuchets and mangonels weapons forged in the foundries of the continent. Mongol warriors, clad in lamellar armor of leather and iron, ready their bows, their faces set in grim silence. Above them, the war drums beat deep, resonant, relentless. The sound rolls across the waves, echoing through every hull and heart. General Hong Dagu, commanding the fleet, watches from the flagship. He is a veteran of the Korean campaigns, a man who has burned cities and shattered kingdoms. Yet, even he senses the weight of the unknown ahead. These islands are strange, their warriors proud and unpredictable, but Kublai Khan's command is absolute. Bring Japan to its knees. He lifts a hand, and a horn bellows. The fleet responds in unison, thousands of oars cutting the sea. As they draw nearer to Kyushu's shores, the soldiers of the steppe look to the smoke-black bombs piled beside them. Each one is sealed with pitch and packed with a volatile powder, a new Chinese invention whispered about in the camps. Huo Pao, the thunder crash bomb. When lit, it does not simply burn, it screams, explodes, and shatters the air. One officer, a Chinese artilleryman from the Song provinces, kneels beside a crate and checks the fuses with trembling hands. He remembers the first time he saw their power, a mountain test range where the blast threw men from their feet and horses bolted in terror. Now these bombs will be hurled not at stone, but at flesh. As the shore grows visible, dotted with Japanese watchfires and the silhouettes of mounted samurai, the air fills with chanting. Mongol soldiers beat their shields in rhythm, crying out in Mongolian, Turkic, and Chinese tongues. The deck trembles with their fury. Then, silence. A single order breaks the calm. Prepare to land. Catapults are loaded. Bowstrings pulled taut. The drums resume. Faster now, a storm of rhythm against the hiss of the waves. Far ahead, the beaches of Hakata Bay shimmer under the noon sun. The Japanese banners are waiting. The world is about to witness the collision of two civilizations, one forged in ritual and honor, the other in fire and empire. The first Mongol ships scrape against the sand of Hakata Bay, their hulls cracking against the surf. Wooden ramps crash down, and the invaders surge forward, shields raised, spears leveled, armor glinting beneath the gray sky. The thunder of drums and war cries drown the roar of the sea. From the dunes above, the samurai charge. Their banners flare crimson and gold in the wind. Horses thunder downhill, hooves striking sparks from the stone. Arrows streak overhead, but the samurai pay them no mind. For them, battle is not fought behind shields. It is fought in single combat, face to face, one warrior testing another's soul. Takazaki Suenaga rides at the front, his longbow already drawn. He looses an arrow. It strikes a Mongol officer square in the chest, but the man does not fall. The Mongol armor, layered hide and iron plates, absorbs the blow. Then, the invaders answer. A wall of sound erupts as the Mongol line releases a volley in perfect coordination. Arrows whistle through the air like a storm of hornets. Drums beat time to their advance, disciplined, relentless. Samurai fall, horses scream, and still the warriors press forward, determined to reach the enemy line and reclaim the honor of their sword. Takazaki closes the distance and cuts down a Mongol spearman with a single stroke. But before he can raise his blade again, a new sound tears through the battlefield, a shriek, followed by a thunderclap. The ground shakes, smoke and fire explode across the sand. Men are thrown from their feet, their armor split open by invisible force. Horses rear and bolt, their eyes wild with terror. In the chaos, Japanese warriors look around in disbelief, searching for an enemy that has no face. From the ships, more ceramic spheres arc through the sky, trailing smoke like comets before crashing into the earth. "Thunder crash bombs!" someone shouts. Takazaki scrambles to his feet, his ears ringing, his vision blurred by dust. The air stinks of salt, blood, and sulfur. Through the haze, he sees Mongol infantry advancing behind the smoke, striking at the stunned defenders with cold precision. Every instinct in him screams to fight, yet his world has changed in an instant. This is not war as Japan has ever known. This is fire from the heavens. By afternoon, the beaches of Hakata are a battlefield of shattered wood and burning sand. The samurai fight fiercely, but the rhythm of the enemy never falters. Every attempt at a heroic charge is cut down by volleys and explosions. As dusk falls, the once proud defenders retreat toward the inland hills, their banners torn, their armor blackened. Takazaki looks back at the sea. It glows with the fires of Mongol warships and the strange smoke that drifts across the waves. For the first time in their history, the samurai have faced an enemy who fights not for honor, but for annihilation. Night descends upon Hakata Bay, cloaking the ruins of the battlefield in smoke and silence. The fires of the Mongol fleet burn low on the horizon, their orange reflections trembling across the dark water. On shore, the survivors of Japan's first encounter with empire gather in the shadows of the pines, exhausted, blood-stained and stunned by what they have witnessed. Takazaki Suenyaga kneels beside his wounded horse, the sand beneath him slick with rain and blood. His armor is dented, his bow splintered, his sword edge nicked to ruin. Around him, the murmurs of defeated men mingle with the hiss of the incoming tide. The air smells of sulfur, a foreign scent that now means death. For the first time in his life, the warrior cannot name the enemy that struck him down. Not man, not blade, but something else, the wrath of fire itself. Beyond the shoreline, the Mongol fleet anchors for the night. Their ships form a floating city of conquest masts creaking, sails heavy with seawater, drums silent for the first time since dawn. Commanders confer by torchlight aboard the flagship. General Hong Da-gu paces the deck, uneasy. Though the day has been theirs, the coastal terrain is treacherous and the tides are changing. His advisors urge caution. The Japanese are wounded, but not broken. The night deepens. Then the wind begins to rise. At first, it is a whisper, the restless sigh of a sea wind through the rigging. But soon it builds, rolling in from the open ocean with gathering fury. The waves grow teeth. Anchors groan, ropes snap, and the fleet begins to drift. From the west, a storm wall forms vast, black, and alive with lightning. By midnight, the Typhoon strikes. The Mongol ships are tossed like toys upon the roaring sea. Masts splinter. Fires burst as lightning ignites the powder stores. Men scream in the darkness, their cries swallowed by the wind. Hulls collide, splinter, and vanish beneath the foaming waves. Entire squadrons disappear, sucked into the churning black. From the hills above the bay, Japanese survivors watch in awe. The night sky flashes white with lightning, as if the heavens themselves have drawn a sword. One monk, clutching prayer beads, whispers through the storm. Kamikaze, the divine wind. Takazaki stares at the horizon, at ships burning and breaking, their lights snuffed one by one. For every samurai who died on the beach, the sea now claims 10 invaders. It is as if the gods themselves have risen to defend the islands. By dawn, the storm begins to fade. The waves calm. The wind dies. But the bay is filled with wreckage-shattered hulls, floating bodies, twisted masts. The once mighty Mongol fleet lies broken, its ambition scattered across the tide. Japan has survived the impossible, but deep in the heart of Kublai Khan's empire, the humiliation festers. He will return, and next time, he will bring the largest fleet the medieval world has ever seen. Summer 1281, 7 years after the first invasion. The winds over Kyushu are warm and heavy, but the coasts no longer lie defenseless. Across Hakata Bay, a new wall now stretches for miles, a massive stone barrier 3 meters high and thick enough for soldiers to march upon. Built by tens of thousands of laborers under the order of the shogunate, it stands as Japan's shield against the return of the great Khan. Behind it, the samurai wait once more. Takazaki Suenyaga, older now, his face lined by salt and memory, rides along the rampart. The lessons of the last war have hardened him. He carries a shorter sword, a stronger bow, and a new kind of silence in his eyes. He knows the enemy will come not for honor, but for conquest. Far across the sea, Kublai Khan prepares his vengeance. From the ports of southern China and Korea, a monstrous fleet takes shape, more than 4,000 ships carrying over 140,000 men. Mongols, Chinese, Koreans, and conscripted sailors. Never before has such a force set sail upon the seas of Asia. The Khan's orders are clear. Erase the island nation that defied the empire. In June, the Eastern Route Army departs Korea. A month later, the Southern Route Army leaves China. Their plan to converge upon Hakata Bay and crush Japan between them. On board their ships lie hundreds of firebombs, catapults, and rocket arrows, the latest creations of Chinese gunpowder artisans. When the first fleet arrives off Kyushu, the Japanese are ready. From behind the stone wall, archers release volleys of arrows that rain down upon the landing boats. The Mongols respond with thunder. Once more, the night sky blooms with fire, the air splitting with the scream of exploding bombs. The shore becomes a war of distance gunpowder against discipline, flame against stone. Yet this time, Japan does not break. The wall holds. The Mongols find no open beaches, no scattered ranks to cut through. Every landing attempt meets a storm of arrows and a wall of iron resolve. By the second week, the invaders attempt night assaults. The Japanese respond with a new weapon of their own, small, fast boats crewed by samurai, who launch daring raids under the cover of darkness. They row silently between enemy ships, leap aboard, and fight in brutal hand-to-hand combat before vanishing into the sea again. For 40 days, the war rages along the coast. Smoke veils the bay. The air is thick with ash and the echo of drums. The Mongol generals, desperate to unite their divided fleets, anchor their ships offshore to regroup, unaware that the sea itself is about to turn against them once more. As night falls on the 44th day, the wind shifts, the air grows dense, the sky begins to boil, and from the south, the sea starts to move not with tide, but with wrath. It begins as a low moan rolling across the horizon, the voice of the sea turning violent. Within hours, the night sky is swallowed by thunderclouds. The wind howls through the masts of thousands of Mongol ships, and the waves rise higher than the decks. Torches flicker and vanish into darkness. Orders are shouted, lost to the roar of the coming storm. By midnight, the Typhoon descends. Lightning splits the heavens, illuminating a nightmare of chaos. Ships collide, anchors snap, and sails tear loose like shredded ghosts. The ocean becomes a mountain of black water, swallowing whole squadrons in a single surge. The mighty Armada, the pride of Kublai Khan, is crushed beneath the wrath of nature. Men scream in every tongue of the empire: Mongolian, Chinese, Korean. The decks tilt, and soldiers tumble into the churning sea. Catapults crash through the hulls that once carried them. Barrels of gunpowder ignite, erupting into streaks of blue-white fire before the rain drowns them. On the cliffs above Hakata Bay, Japanese warriors watch by the light of the storm. To them, it is not mere weather, it is divine judgment. The gods of the islands, Hachiman and Raijin, have answered their prayers. The Kamikaze, the divine wind, has returned. By dawn, the sea is silent again. Where there had been thousands of ships, there is now only wreckage-broken masts, floating bodies, fragments of banners drifting like autumn leaves upon the tide. Takezaki Suenaga stands on the shore, the salt wind whipping his hair. Around him, the survivors of Japan kneel and bow to the rising sun. They have witnessed 2 miracle storms that no human hand could command, and they know their land has been spared. In China, the loss is unthinkable. Of the tens of thousands who sailed, only a few hundred ships limp home to the ports of the Yuan. Kublai Khan, enraged, demands answers, but none come. Even the greatest empire on earth cannot conquer the sea, nor the spirit of a people who believe their gods walk the wind. In Japan, the memory of those storms becomes legend. Shrines rise along the coast to honor the Kamikaze. Children grow up hearing tales of the day the sea itself defended their homeland. And the samurai, once humbled by the fire of foreign cannons, now understand the balance between courage and fate. For centuries, they will prepare for the enemy who never returns. And the tale of the Mongol invasions of Japan will pass into myth, a story of fire, faith, and the winds that saved a nation.